What is up, everyone? Welcome back to Ball Up Top, your weekly women's basketball podcast brought to you by No Cap Space. Tyler, Greer, and Shawnee holding it down for you here today on the heels of what was an entertaining, to say the least, All-Star weekend, an informative All-Star weekend with plenty of news with CBA things. And on the time we're recording this on this Monday early evening / afternoon, Emma Meesseman is back in the WNBA. But before we get into all of that, code NOCAP15 with our friends at Home Field, our lovely, lovely friends at Home Field. You can go and get ready. The college is going to be here before you know it, y'all. I promise you. It's going to be here before you know it. So make sure you're ready. You're locked in to support your favorite players, support your favorite teams. Use code NOCAP15 across the entire website for your first purchase. Get 15% off. And of course, as always, link in the description to the No Cap Space collection, personally curated by us here at No Cap Space. Greer, Shawnee, let's get into it. Let's start off with Emma Meesseman. Because Greer, I want to get your thoughts, because if you want kind of the full immediate reaction, go to the No Cap Space YouTube page. You can find it also nocapspacewbb.com, where we kind of gave our raw immediate thoughts to the move. But Greer, you weren't able to be on that. So before we dive into anything deeper, just Emma Meesseman is back. This has been kind of like the golden unicorn of free agency that we weren't for sure this was ever going to happen. And she joins the New York Liberty. So just your general thoughts before we dive into anything more specific.
Yeah, Emma Meesseman is probably a top 7 player in the world, right? And has been since she's been away from the W in terms of international basketball. She's brought Belgium all the way basically to the top of Europe, right? Has balled out for Finner, where she played with a lot of her current New York Liberty teammates. So I'm excited just from a talent standpoint, right? I think, she's one of the best players in the world. And while I'm happy for her and happy for WNBA fans to get to see her play, especially people who are new to the game who may not have ever heard of Emma, this is also a former finals MVP too, right? Yeah. So she's stamped in this league, and there's going to be a whole lot of people who haven't seen her play yet who are exposed to her now. I'm happy about that. However, I am not happy about the fact that she will be doing it on the New York Liberty.
Okay. All right. Well, I was waiting for you to get here. Let's go.
The way of 2 agendas that I have for this season. They were already the best team on paper, right? Coming back, they're defending champs. We all see the type of team they are with a Jonquel in their lineup and without a Jonquel in their lineup, who's also returning this week after being out for quite some time. So it'll be interesting to see where she fits in, in terms of their starting lineup. That Sabrina, Stewie, Jonquel, I believe they've been starting Phoebish, right?
I imagine Phoebish will be the one to come off the bench, would be my guess.
Yeah, they've been starting Phoebish, and who's in their other guard?
Cloud.
Sorry, Natasha Cloud. My bad, big dog. I'm still rusty. But interesting to see how they may look to change the starting lineup, if at all. Or is Emma coming in expressly understanding I'm going to be a 6th man, but I'm going to be probably the best 6th man this league's ever seen. So we'll see what happens. But when I saw the breakdown of how they were able to pull this off, we know that the Benajelani injury is a big part of this, but also just the fact of who's still on rookie deals, but they're
it's insane.
Well-established players in this market. Yeah, it's just wow, what a job. Bears.
It's hard to obviously we haven't seen it on the court yet, obviously. So you don't ever want to be too hyperbolic. However, on paper with this team, this team was already arguably the best team in the league when healthy. And then you go and add at worst a top 10 player in the world. And that's at worst. I don't even know I don't know how close we're getting to 10 when we're when we're really talking about it. Truly, and I mentioned this on our immediate reaction as well, but just the ability to not only pick her up for your team, but keep her away from Minnesota, to keep her away from Phoenix, because that fit there, and because it is an upgrade for New York, but they're already stacked in those positions, right? For Phoenix and Minnesota, you are immediately adding, for Minnesota, probably the second best player on the team, arguably the best player on your team for Phoenix, right? And you're just doing this at the midseason. Alyssa Thomas has something to say about that, but like that's the caliber of player you're adding. Whereas for New York, it's like you're adding another MVP caliber player. You already got 2 players that have been MVPs before. And so it's just insane. And I say all that to kind of lead into our more specific discussion, because we had kind of talked about it briefly in our immediate reactions, but that was more so about like the fit in New York. And again, we'll have to kind of see how all that works. But Andrew brought up kind of an interesting part of all this, is that he said that this immediately becomes like the greatest starting 5 that we've seen in WNBA history. And look, there's a hell of a lot of talent on this team. And so like, I'm not even mad at like the initial take and everything. But I wanted to get y'all's thoughts on this, because this is a team with depth. This is obviously a team with talent in the starting lineup, but you obviously have, your Maya Moore Minnesota teams. You have your Houston Comets teams. You have some of those old Detroit teams. Like, there's been some teams in this league that have been absolutely stacked. So I'm just interested for y'all before, like, obviously there's now a very high standard and bar to clear for this New York Liberty team and where they lie with their success as we go forward in this season. And it cannot be more championship or bust for a team. But on paper right now, before we see it on the court, where does this team stand in terms of just on paper, how good that they can be in comparison to the other greatest teams of all time that we think of when we think about the WNBA?
Greer, you go ahead and start.
Yeah, I mean, the reality, like, they've got to get it done to even be in the same breath, right? Like, we're talking about, I looked because I thought it was an interesting point by Andrew too. And so some of the teams that I come up with are like the 2014 Phoenix Mercury, who started Diana, BG, Penny, Candace Dupree, and Duana Bonner, right?
Yeah, it's like, the starting 5.
We're talking about 3 players who are in the top 7 of WNBA scoring of all time or something like that, right? And then all Hall of Famers eventually. Yeah. You know what I mean? Then you look at like a Detroit Shock team who started Deanna Tweedy Nolan, Katie Smith, Swing Cash, Ruth Riley, Cheryl Ford, like went from worst to first, but like, whew, what a starting lineup. You think about the teams who have been able to go back to back, or in some cases four-peat in this league, right? So you go to the most recent example would be the Las Vegas Aces, right? Who had 5 Olympians, or I don't even know what, right?
Yeah.
For their respective nations. Then you think about like the Sparks with Lisa, Delisha, Tamika back in the day. So New York's got to like hold up their end of the bargain and actually win at the end of the season, be hoisting that championship to get to officially enter the conversation. I don't know. I struggle with thinking with anyone probably beating the Minnesota Lynx of that dynasty. Like, it was funny because I was talking to a friend the other day about where Maya Moore would be had she kept playing in terms of scoring now. How close would she be? And I mean, you have to assume really high, right? Again, they started 5 Hall of Famers, and like, it's not even like 5 Hall of Famers where it's like, oh, you guys are in the Hall of Fame because you guys won championships.
Not like bona fide Hall of Famers on their own.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, the winning helps certainly, but like they were stamped no matter what. So, we'll see. Natasha Cloud, like, again, I unfortunately started this episode omitting her from their starting lineup, but like, that kind of means something, right? I don't know. Like, when
evil world we live in.
I'm so sorry, but like, I don't know. They got to do it first, and then we can revisit, because
there's some teams that we've seen in this league. Shawnee, your initial reaction just on paper.
If this was like 2019, I'd say, yeah, this is one of the greatest teams ever. But like, we in 2025, bro, like some of these primes are a little, and I'm operating from a place of hate. and I'm gonna keep doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, like Stewie is rounding back out to form, but she's not the Stewie of old.
Mm-hmm.
Jonquel is coming into her own and is in her prime, but like she gets left out of the shuffle a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Sabrina has no first team all WNBA selections on her, so not Hall of Fame in my opinion. Natasha Cloud, solid guard, star in the league, but not like a franchise player. Like when you tell me like the greatest starting 5, like, and you say 5 Hall of Famers, right? Like 5 people that you separate them and they improve 5 different teams. I don't see this roster as 5 people carrying 5 different teams. I see them all, you know, greatly improving them, obviously. But like when you start saying greatest ever, I don't know.
It's a high bar to clear.
Yeah, it's very high. And then on top of that, they not only have to do it, but they have to do it again and then again. Because when you start talking about greatest rosters, Comus won 4 of them things. Shock won, Shock won what, 3 of them things? You know, Aces went back to back on the Liberty's watch. You know, what I'm saying? So
you gotta at least go back to back, and maybe we can have like single team season conversation. Even if you don't get the full dynasty, you gotta at least go back to back now.
And that's what I'm saying. So it's like there are levels to this where you got to clear certain hurdles in order to be considered that. And so time is going to tell. Right now, initially, do I feel like they could be that? No, because I've seen too many of their flaws. Like I said, like some people are not as lethal as they were. Like Stewie in, what was that, 2022? That semifinal Stewie was different.
That might be the greatest basketball player I've ever laid eyes on. Like that series of Stewie might be the greatest hoops I've ever seen. Yeah, ridiculous.
Yeah, and then European Stewie. Yeah. Listen.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So
those
like
transition threes. Yeah.
So I've seen different variations of dominant Stewie, whether it be UConn Stewie, Europe Stewie, Seattle Stewie. I'm not seeing that Stewie consistently in New York. I'm seeing flashes of it. So, and the team really is like, that's her team. You know what I'm saying? Jonquel to me is the X factor and what you need. But like I said, she gets pushed to the back burner way too often. And then she has the capability of taking herself out the game. So it's like, and then Sabrina is coming into her own to where now she can actually, she could drop 30 on her own. Before it was like everybody else has to be cooking and she's just, there's enough food for her to fix a plate, Now it's kind of like, all right, she in there making a salad, she's in there,
she witnessed that 3-point contest and look at the tone changing.
No,
she saw it. Man, look how to change you.
Hold on, don't get me started. Cause you know why she won. You know why I think she won.
I don't know, man. You give a little bit of money to a rookie, and look how your biggest hater tone changes.
Man. Hey, look, if Caitlin was there,
it could bring a tear to my eye. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. See, you pushed my hand. If you would just let me go, you pushed my hand.
Okay, here we go. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But no, so it's just kind of like there's a lot of factors, and then there's Sandy Brondello, who I have been pretty hard on because when we went back to back, that second one, we were down like 3 starters. So it's kind of like Kayla George matched up, looked Stewie eyeball to eyeball and gave her the same 10 points that Stewie gave. So it's kind of like there's Sandy Brondello also has some stuff, some flaws that I've seen that I'm kind of like, I need to see it. So 1, they need to do it. And then 2, they need to do it consistently. There needs to be a dynasty in order for me to consider you greatest ever. So on paper, this is definitely best team in the league right now in this moment. But like historically, I'm not moved until I'm forced to be.
I think that I think I'm with you guys on that. Again, especially that, I mean, my mind immediately goes to like just from like when I was coming up like on that Minnesota wave of teams and like coming up on that, like that's immediately where my mind goes to of like when I think of like best team, I think of that Minnesota team. And I don't think that this team is that. However, this might be one of like the purest super teams that we've seen in a minute, in the sense of like, especially in like just the vibe of, because like, even the Aces, right? Like you bring in Chelsea Gray, but like you drafted a lot of that team, so like, it didn't have as much of like, to me, were they a super team? Like probably by definition, yes, but in terms of like the vibe of it, like like drafting it is just a different vibe to me. Whereas this team, you've already crafted one this is like version 2 of their super team. They already kind of had like the super team vibe when you bring in Jonquel, when you bring in Stewie, when you bring in Sloot. Now you go and bring Natasha Cloud in, which was already fixing kind of the problems from version 1. And then you go and bring in Emma Meesseman halfway through the season. Like this is the most like super team that a super team has super teamed in a minute. Like it's just in the vibe of it all and everything. And I mean, truly become the favorites very quickly, and already like had an argument to be that when Jonquel was healthy, and now it's absolutely like, you want to talk about like finding the margins to separate themselves from Minnesota. Emma Meesseman is a hell of a margin to go in and make up. So I'm very excited about how they look on court. I'm very excited to see how now Minnesota goes back into kind of a similar underdog role to last year, because they weren't supposed to be there last year. And like this team was not supposed to be one that was going to make the finals. And obviously we're more familiar with their game now, in the sense of like, there's an expectation for them to make the finals. But if they match up with New York in that finals, they are not going to be picked to win. And the same thing goes with like a Phoenix as well. Like in that sense of like the potential for Phoenix maybe beating Minnesota in a series, like it's, those things are on the table. And no matter who it is that matches up with New York, presumably in the finals, it's going to be wicked. Yeah. Yes, Shawnee. Yeah.
I think Minnesota's got to make a move. I know on the reaction video I said it's Tina Charles. It's Liz Cambage. They got to bring her back.
Oh my
we
God.
got to start importing.
Gianna,
I'm sorry.
Come back to the league. We
Shawnee.
need you.
It's time. It's
Shawnee.
big gun time. You cannot let them get away with this. Liz Cambage with Stud Buzz content. Horrible.
That
horrible
sounds
for
like
America.
a threat. Is that a threat?
I'm tuning in.
Horrible for America, but phenomenal content.
Oh my God,
I'm
Shawnee.
subscribing.
Shawnee.
I'm gifting subs.
I'm
Turning on my notifications.
I'm sorry, because it's like, I still believe that the officiating played a large part in this previous ring from New York. So that means to me, the two teams were like, because you don't go 7 games and then need to be bailed out if it's like, So now I think Mies put some up, like, they gotta go grab somebody. And if they don't get Honshu,
that's the Jaden McDaniels meme.
Is that they haven't played this year yet?
No, they play here coming up like very soon.
We're gonna play like 3 times.
July 30th. July 30th. It was the first time.
So we'll be able to see
some
stuff very quickly here.
Because how does that affect Fee's campaign now? Because it's like we were kind of looking to see what she would do on the back end of the. I'm saying, but like,
her
second half of the season. Now this is when you start playing New York, and it's now you start playing New York with Emma Meesseman. Like that sucks. Like I believe in her. I think she could. She can make shake.
She goes put some dubs in the chat. Yeah. And that case is immediately stamped.
Right. Hey, either way, I'm right there with you, sister.
Little old me.
No, all this to beat the Stud Buds is crazy. I'm not gonna lie. All of this to beat the Stud Buds is insane. But yeah, I mean, obviously, again, the Emma Meesseman has always been the what if of any free agency. Anytime there was an opening, anytime a team needed a forward, it was always the kind of dream of it could. And frankly, I didn't expect it to I won't say I didn't expect it, because it felt like there had kind of been a ramp up in talks and rumors and whatnot and reports of it being a possibility. To see it actually happen and it actually be New York is just, I mean, goodness gracious, what an absolute insane midseason pickup. Probably the biggest midseason move ever. Like, I mean, like genuinely, like, because there's not a ton of midseason moves in the W. So like, there's not like a ton of like major competition. Like I'd have to like go back and think,
Right,
but like,
yeah.
and definitely in recent memory, easily the biggest midseason move that we've seen. Because like the biggest one before this was like what, Marina Mabry to Connecticut. Like,
Okay,
there's really not a lot of stuff. I'm just saying, like that was a big deal at the time, you know. Like
we didn't know what we didn't know.
We're starving at the deadline usually, you know. But no, I can't wait to see what that ends up looking like.